Listen, when faced with a cancer diagnosis, finances should be the absolute last thing that comes to mind. However, cancer patients, and I did not know this, 2.5 times as likely to declare bankruptcy as healthy people would be. Finding financial options for peace of mind while treating and living with cancer may seem out of reach, but it is possible. I have a guest who's with me now on the Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline, who is here to talk about financial toxicity and some methods which may be helpful of finding money to cover the high cost of cancer. Let's welcome Scott Page to WCTC. Scott, good morning. It's Burt Barron. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
A cancer diagnosis, I'm sure, and fortunately it's not me, but the first thing that comes to mind is, oh my God, I got to get better. The second thing that comes to mind is, how am I going to pay for this usually, right?
It is, and it's unfortunate that, in this country today, we're still struggling with how we're going to pay for health care. But, when someone's diagnosed with cancer or serious illness, one of the two questions they have is, of course, they want to find the best doctor. And then secondly, they need to keep in mind is how are they going to find the funds to pay for it?
Yeah, and that unfortunately is a component of this that doesn't get a lot of attention, because the first thing is you got to get better. We got to fight this. It's going to require a long, hard fight from me, from my support system around me, my family. Everybody's going to be impacted by this, and now I got to worry about how am I going to pay for all this and survive. Bankruptcy, is that a good choice? Is that something that people will often turn to when facing a serious illness, Scott?
Well, unfortunately, the medical community and the healthcare delivery system is not set up to have these discussions with Americans. And so they're having to find answers on them for themselves. And there are multiple ways to approach how to pay for medical care. And financial toxicity, of course, the definition of that describes a dire health impact of soaring medical costs and treatments. And there's studies now that are showing that financial stress caused by financial toxicity is one of the most deadly stresses you can have. Yeah. And bankruptcy could be a point. Bankruptcy could be a play. It could be a play, I think, that anyone faced with a financial a hurdle from a cancer diagnosis, or even a retiree over the age of 75, needs to start looking at ways to fund either the treatment for their illness or into their retirement for ways that are sort of out of the box.
Yeah,
thinking out of the box.
I think to some degree, Scott, some people still look at bankruptcy as being sort of the last step in a process, but for some people, bankruptcy could be the first step in getting their lives back on track, right?
Absolutely. A bankruptcy should always come into play when considering how am I going to pay for my illness, because, it's going to strain you and your family to pay for co-payments, out-of-pocket expenses. Mm-hmm. The average cancer cost just for treatment is around $150,000 in this country.
Boy, oh boy.
So even if you have medical insurance, you're still going to be hit with out-of-pocket costs and deductibles.
Unbelievable. Is there some way to reduce this toxicity that comes along with this? What are some steps that people can take?
Well, the first step I would recommend is people to investigate what state programs are offered through their state. There's state pharmaceutical assistant programs. There's copay programs. There's organizations out there that can help if you qualify. Another way that we urge patients to take a look at is their existing life insurance policy. They can actually convert that policy into the cash they need, and in many cases receive the cash tax-free. Lifeguide Partners offers what's known as a free policy appraisal, meaning we can look at their life insurance policy and tell them what the policy value is worth and convert that to cash for them today. That would remove their premium payments and help them receive the money they need to pay for their care or even into their retirement.
Wow. And I guess for someone who's fighting cancer, Scott, you've got to put all the options on the table, right?
You do, and I think that's where you have that discussion. You have that discussion with your family members, your caregivers, your physicians. You have to have some understanding of what it's going to cost and how you're going to pay for it. Another option for families to look at is potentially a reverse mortgage. If you're living in a home and you want to stay in that home for the remainder of your life, a reverse mortgage is a good option to consider.
I'm wondering, Scott, and maybe you have the answer to this too, if the type of cancer diagnosis impacts this, because some types of cancer where there's a very low survival rate, for example, pancreatic cancer, it's probably between 5 and 9%, unfortunately, and some other forms of cancer, when it's detected early enough and there is some good treatment out there, the survival rate is very high. Does the type of diagnosis impact any of these decisions?
Well, of course, the more severe the cancer diagnosis, it changes the decision-making factor. But I can tell you, cancer is becoming the leading cause of death in the country. People are living longer. I think we all are aware of that. And the medical community has gotten very good at treating cardiac issues. Yeah. Right now, cardiac issues are the number one cause of death, but cancer is getting ready to change that. Almost 40% of every man is going to be diagnosed with some form of cancer, and 38% of all the women out there are going to be diagnosed with some form of cancer. And I'm talking about skin cancer and minor cancers. These are some type of major cancers that people are going to have to deal with, and that's simply because the population is aging. Everyone over the age, people are starting to live past 85. People are starting to live past 95. And unfortunately, the body's going to start breaking down, and cancer should be everyone's major concern. And something to consider is, how are you going to fund it? People look at retirement and think, well, I need to pay for retirement and enjoy myself. And healthcare is usually ignored. But healthcare needs to be part of your retirement discussions moving forward, because everyone's going to have some type of health issue, and they're going to have to figure out how they're going to pay for it.
You're right. There's no question about it. Scott, where can people go to get some more information about what we discussed today?
Well, they can call us on the phone. Again, we're Lifeguide Partners. They can reach us at 888-GUIDE. That's GUIDE 50. Again, that's 888-GUIDE 50. Or they can go to our website and check us out at the World Wide Web. We're Lifeguide Partners with an S.com. And we provide many resources on our website. And one, of course, is including the opportunity to get a free, no-obligation appraisal on your existing life insurance policy, which might be the answer you need to help you get through your cancer diagnosis, or just simply help with some extra funds through retirement.
All right. Good information this morning. Scott Page, CEO of Lifeguide Partners. Thanks for the time this morning, Scott. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.